Now, one of the industries that has been most hard hit by this pandemic has been travel and airlines in particular. We've seen enormous demand destruction. We've seen enormous cancellation of flights. There's one company, though, that is still flying on a regular basis. It's called SetJet, and the co-founder and CEO is joining us now from Scottsdale, Arizona. That's Tom Smith. Tom, you guys just launched this company in December. It is a private flying company. How are you dealing with this? I know that you guys actually are doing testing that is related to folks being able to get on your planes. Walk me through the logistics of how that works.
Sure. So thank you for having me on this morning. And we did start just flying in December. We're a membership-based organization. So really the flights are driven by our members. So they come in and they will schedule when they want to go, and then we'll make the flights happen for them. And as this whole epidemic started to expand, we saw what was happening overseas, and we've got a great executive team that started looking at how are we going to mitigate the risks for our members when they're traveling with us. So we started looking into testing, and we were able to get a deal put together and get some antibody tests in ahead of time. And so about 2-3 weeks ago, we started doing testing of our members for the antibody testing. And we were doing it with our partner, the Core Institute here locally. So we have medical professionals that are actually providing the test. They did the test studies for us, and they actually come and join us and then do the flight. So the members can find out through the Core Institute and this antibody test whether they have had it in the past and now have an antibody for it, or is it something that's active with them right now? So we also have extended, obviously, our cleaning and every other procedure we can to minimize the risks. But the testing was really a big one that our members really appreciate.
Tom, I got to ask you, you're using antibody tests, and I guess that, would go a long way if the body had started to react and produce antibodies. But if you're in the early stages of the infection and your body hasn't reacted in such a way yet, how do you ensure that those people aren't getting on the flights when they may be symptomatic or in the stages where they can still spread the virus? And I guess, what do you do when someone does test positive? Do you say that they can't fly?
Yeah, so great question. Number one, obviously, we're telling everybody, please adhere by the stay at home. We're trying to encourage them not to travel. It's only if they necessarily have to travel that they're doing that. So you're correct. It's not a perfect science. It's the best that we have available today. So it's kind of like your body for a pregnancy test, that you have to get to the point where your body actually has the antibodies showing up to be able to detect it. But it is what's available, and it's what we have. So if they do the testing, we are following the CDC guidelines, and then they deal with the medical professional who tells us. And if they tell the person that, hey, you're immune, you've had it in your past, they can still fly. But if the other antibody comes up, because there's 2 that they test for, then we do restrict them from traveling and ask them to leave. So we also are looking at their temperature, making sure they feel well and those types of things. And again, we're relying on the medical professionals because we don't get access to that data. That's between them and the medical person doing the test. But we are being told if that one antibody is active or if they're not feeling well, they're not going to be allowed to travel on the plane.
Hey, it's Adam Shapiro, and wish you the best. I want your business to succeed, but I got to ask you, how did you get the tests? From whom did you get them? And why aren't you giving them to hospitals? Because right now we hear stories about doctors and medical people who can't take a test, yet they're on the front line of this crisis.
And great. I'm glad you brought that up, because we actually, through the Core Institute, who is a medical provider here locally, we are giving them the test to be able to do to the local people here in Arizona. So obviously our membership is a very, very small number, but through the relationship we had, they are coming from an FDA manufactured company that's a lot of them are being based out of China. And we're letting the providers, the Core Institute, have access to test people that are not members of SetJet and getting them access to it. So in addition to what we're doing, the Core Institute is offering the antibody testing as well. And we made that information available that anybody can email us, and we will get them in touch with the Core Institute in order to be able to get the test if they need it or want it.
Tom, Rick Newman here. Wonder if you could just give our audience some idea how much your service costs. It sounds like it's a privilege for wealthy people, but ordinary people who feel like they need to get to visit a family member or something like that probably can't take advantage of it.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like, private travel is extremely expensive, especially if you charter a jet, right? So one of the things that we did is it's membership based. So it's $99 initial fee, and that allows us to do the background checks. And then it's a $99 a month membership. So Once you're a member, then you can book the flight, and it's about roughly a little over $400 each way. And we fly from the Phoenix area to Las Vegas and to Southern California. So example, today we're flying out to Orange County. So it is something it's more similar to first class pricing, but it's certainly a long way away from chartering a jet. And so we actually have a lot of members that have their own private aircraft that are using our service because it's cost effective, that you can do a round trip for basically $900 to Los Angeles and back, or to San Diego and back, or to Las Vegas and back. And we have 13 to 15 seats on the flight, where these are equivalent to a CRJ 200. So instead of 60 or 70 people on the plane, it's only 13 to 15. So people are very spaced out inside the aircraft as well. So we do try to make sure that it's very reasonably priced compared to the other options on the private jet side. But we're still giving you that 5-star experience that's complete luxury, and you're flying out of a private terminal.
And you have the extra assurance of knowing the folks around you perhaps are not infected. Tom Smith is the SetJet co-founder and CEO. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, investors. Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.